Hello and welcome to episode 4 of the Dalek story. This is called The Ambush, and we're watching it with its director, Christopher Barry, and 2 of its stars, Carole Ford and William Russell. Carole, I'd like to come to you first. Daleks. What was your first thought when you saw them? What did you think?
I thought they were hysterically funny. You must remember the first time we saw them, we only saw half of them.
Oh, yes.
And there was a man sticking out of them. And so we all sort of turfed them out, as far as I remember, and jumped in and started playing dodgems. That spoiled everybody's illusions.
I was going to say, and thinking of jumping inside Daleks and playing dodgems, Bill, you're inside this one.
I was inside
Yes,
it. I'm the only
yes.
man who's been
Inside a Dalek.
In a Dalek.
You must be
You're
the
not
tallest
claustrophobic.
person.
God.
The tallest person who's ever been in.
Been in
managed to
Daleks.
get inside one.
Head
All
was-
that,
head was
that wasn't
quite on the
acting
roof.
when you were talking about that.
With
When you were all
strained
trying to
voice.
get me out, it was very difficult. Yes.
While we were talking just then, we came to the shot from the end of the previous episode of the Dalek creature under the coat trying to get out, which I gather from what Verity has said caused quite a furore and let us in because they all thought it was rather nasty.
Bit too scary,
Bit
perhaps.
too scary.
Was there or was there not a shot of me getting the thing out in one of the takes?
I think.
Do you think
yes.
It would have been in the previous episode, yes.
In the
But
previous
we
episode.
never see
I
it.
wrapped it up in.
That's
Oh,
right.
yeah,
But
yeah.
the audience
Covered it
never
up,
sees it,
that's
right.
and you kind of go, oh,
Yes.
turn away
You
from
look
it.
But we
rather.
don't-
There's a shot of you looking absolutely aghast
Yes,
at it,
that's
and
right.
then wrapping
Yes.
it up,
Yes.
carrying it, and something
Then
nice.
you had to
Down,
sit
yeah.
there where the
And I had
slimy
to
beast
sit
had been.
where the Dalek had sat. Yeah.
Nasty.
But was it quite difficult to sort of pilot a Dalek and move it around, or...?
Well, not really. It was on casters.
Right.
It was quite easy. I mean, you just sort of moved your feet, and they were sort of universal
Back to
casters. So
childhood.
they moved backwards and sideways. Yeah, it was quite easy actually. It was quite fun.
Chris, we're hearing here some of the quite unique and fantastic music of Tristram Carey. Very, very bizarre and avant-garde music. How did you find Tristram? Why did you want to use him?
At the time, musique concrète was sort of coming from France into Britain. I can't say that I liked it, but I was intrigued by it. And I'm not quite sure how I got in touch with Tristram. He was the son of the author of The Horse's Mouth, incidentally. But I used him for his music on another programme before this, a thriller with William Franklin and Lena Morris as the leads. And I'd liked his music so much, and I invited him to do this. I have to say that when Sidney Newman heard the music on that other programme that I'd done, he loathed it. And so I knew that he wasn't going to like this. But I think with Verity's support, we managed to convince him that it was quite effective. And I, in fact, used it again later in another story.
And am I right in thinking that at the time when you were recording this serial, it was all played in live, so everyone would actually hear the music, or was it all done in post-production?
It was all played in live, yes. No, we didn't have post-production
Which is very
in those
helpful
days.
for
My
acting, I
goodness,
guess,
this is
isn't it?
primitive
It's great.
television. This is all shot live onto... I suppose this was just tape, was it? Or was it film? I can't even
This
remember.
particular episode was actually, for the first time, was actually committed to film, to 35mm film rather than videotape, because there were apparently no videotape machines handy.
Really?
So this one had to be film recorded, but normally it was done onto VT.
Does that change the quality of it, do you think?
Well, film should not be as good quality for it, but it seems to be indistinguishable to me.
Little shots like that thing of the Dalek burning
Yes,
through.
those were
That
pre-filmed.
That was done at Ealing, wasn't it?
At Ealing, and it was run telecine, we'd say, in the gallery, and we'd wait 8 seconds as it counted up and then cut it in on cue when we were ready to see it. And then...
One of the possible reasons that's been put forward as to why this went to film rather than to video is unusually for this period of Doctor Who, there are actually an awful lot of recording breaks and a lot of quick edits in this. And that might have been a reason if it was easier to edit on film. Do you think that would have been the case?
It's certainly easier to edit on film. Yes, all these lift shots and things, of course, all had to be shot separately, and the individual model shots of the lift, there were a lot of edits, and cutting tape was almost verboten in those days because the roll of tape cost a hell of a lot and editing time cost a hell of a lot, and we were sort of told not to do it. We had our wrists slapped if we did it too much. And that must have been one of the reasons. This was a pre-filmed shot, a model shot, in fact.
Oh, maybe 10 minutes if we're lucky. Longer.
I remember sometimes we were forced to act in a very confined space, so you could get your special effects. It seemed to be in a tiny little bit like this.
Well, you were either
Dare
in a
not
lift or
move.
in a tiny corridor, and the camera, because the sets were so small and the cameras were so large in those days, you were right on top of one another.
But the lift was a very successful bit of filming. I mean, it was a really menacing thing coming towards you, wasn't it?
And that wonderful shot, which we'll see later, where you pushed a piece of whatever it was down.
Yes,
on
to
That's
top.
jam it.
right, yeah.
But that's actually virtually a working lift, isn't it? Which is
Well, it looks
quite
like
No,
it.
it's
difficult to
special
do.
It's
effect,
in
isn't
fact,
it?
it's in fact a model going up and down and a split screen shot.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
yeah.
the sort of thing nowadays you do digitally, but then we did it live.
And how long would it have taken you to set all that up?
I don't know. Production time was always valuable, of course, and it must have taken. One was obviously impatient to get it done. I don't remember exactly, I'm afraid.
They think you're in there,
That's right.
but you've jumped out
Oh,
somewhere.
their own friendly fire.
I'm very conscious, we were talking earlier about music, that I didn't put more music over this. This part, which is very dramatic and could have done, I think, with more music. I usually, in those days, and still am, very critical of music being overused on film and television. But I thought, when I watched this again recently, it could have done with a bit more.
What kind of music would you have put? More electronic effects?
Yes, it would have been more of Tristram's music, yeah, but building to a climax.
Presumably that's more the advantage then of being able to do stuff as they do these days in post-production. You can go back and make those decisions and tweak all the
Absolutely.
time.
Yes, yes,
One thing that occurs to me is we're all RP, aren't we?
yes.
You know that?
Well, everybody was in
At that
those
time,
days.
yes, that's how you acted.
Yes.
Well, also this is, I suppose, is a period shortly before sort of Kathy Come Home and that
Yes,
sort of
the gritty
Yes.
stuff.
the working class and the northern
Kitchen
drama
silk
has really
scene
come
drama,
into it.
yeah.
It's that hangover from the very 50s theatrical. Everything on TV was done by theatre actors and everything.
Here I'm very conscious that I didn't cut away earlier to what you all were looking at.
The Thals! They've come for food supplies.
Walking into an ambush.
Make no attempt to capture them. They are
The Daleks move beautifully, don't they?
Oh, wonderful.
So much time and effort must have gone into getting that right.
All the operators were so skilled, and as one of us said just now, they had the lower half of them at rehearsal to practice the moves, and of course the sets in rehearsal were the same size as in the studio floor, and it was just a question of scooting with their feet. Obviously they had good shoes that gripped the floor, and as Bill said earlier, the casters could go sideways and they could whip round in their own length and move forward and backward easily.
Matter with it.
Oh, they've magnetised it too. Come on, let's try and force it open.
Where were you? The previous shot when we saw you hammering on the glass.
We're looking out, seeing the
But was there actually
Thals.
glass there?
I was
or
thinking
was it,
that. I think, were we
were you-
miming
yes,
that?
It,
I
it
think
looked
we were
a
miming
little
it.
bit of a mime, didn't it?
Yes, yes.
I say I should have done a cutaway of what you were looking at earlier.
What's the average studio time for a Doctor Who like this? How long would you have been in the studio actually recording for?
Oh, recording, we used to start after dinner at about 8, I think,
Yeah.
till 10.
8 till 10. It was a couple of hours.
couple of hours to do
a half-hour
a
show.
half-hour show.
And if we didn't finish on time, were we kicked out?
Usually, well, they'd pull the plugs. I mean, yes, overtime
show.
was terribly frowned upon because it cost a lot of money. Here we go.
Yeah, nice bit of
we go.
polystyrene there. Again, very effective model work.
Very,
The model
yes,
work on Doctor Who really was quite phenomenal at this
Yes.
time, wasn't it?
Yes, there were more than once one had to insist it was reshot because very often model work was done without the director being present,
Yeah.
just in the model shop. And when, certainly in my case, as director came to see it, I was dissatisfied. Either you could see the wires or something was wrong and you'd have to get it reshot. Here come the Thals.
So then, if a model were destroyed in the shot, what then? And you weren't happy with it?
Well, it would always be on the whole, they were all pre-filmed at
Yeah.
the studios,
All
and
right.
they would be prepared to
They'd have
reshoot
spares.
it before, yes.
Now here we see what is probably Doctor Who's first guest star role, the marvelous Alan Wheatley.
Yes.
Yes.
How did you get him involved, Chris? Had you worked with him before?
No, never. I just knew him as an extremely starry actor. I wasn't out for a star particularly, but I thought he had that sort of charisma and the sort of Nordic looks that somehow I was, as you notice, all the Thals are blonde, had, and I thought he gave something to it.
And what about John Lee? How did you know John?
He'd worked for me before on a semi-documentary series written by Wilfrid Greatorex called The Net, about the Customs and Immigration Service. It was a documentary series, and he'd played the leading customs officer in that, and I knew him very well. Liked him, and
He was very good. He was an excellent choice. He really
he has
was.
got authority. And
absolutely.
Nobility.
Wonderful
and a
looks.
certain mysteriousness about
Yes,
him. that,
something not quite of this world.
Yeah,
Came from the Antipodes, of course. He's Australian.
he's Australian, yeah.
And indeed, I think is back there now.
Yes. Well, as far as I know, the last I heard of him, he was, yes. Ooh, I love that.
That's very sinister.
Timing was brilliant. They all withdrew together. Here comes Bill. Will you all make it? This needed music, I thought.
Come on,
Dum
Grandpa.
dum 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 dum. It needs a bit of that, you know.
Would that shot of the Daleks have taken quite a lot of, more rehearsal than a normal thing to get that timing absolutely perfect? Because they presumably, inside the Daleks, would have had quite limited vision as to what
They'd
they could
had
see.
limited vision, but they would have had enough to be cued on time, and they just had to step backwards, like that, and retreat.
Walk into a trap.
The Thals are no concern of ours. We cannot jeopardize our lives, get involved in an affair which is none of our business.
Of course it's our business.
This is a lovely sort of moral moment in the
No,
story,
it's
I
marvellous.
think.
Marvellous. This is something we had again and again in those Doctor
yes.
Who's. I loved it. The
A message.
actual you've got to make a decision. You've got to come to a conclusion. You
Yes.
can't just ignore it. You face it and you say, well, right, and then I'll stay. I'll go in the Dalek. And you all run away. These sort of things. I think it was
Marvellous.
marvellous. I mean,
It's
very
great.
educative in that respect.
Yes,
isn't it?
and a great, as you say, educative in
Character
terms of
building.
character.
Yes.
Character, yeah.
Character building and
That's right.
ideals to strive for in life. And,
Yes.
and it goes further later into talking of sort of pacifism versus...
That's right.
Yes, it
that's
does.
right.
Yes.
That's and the argument about you've got to resist,
Yeah.
which comes later, doesn't it? And one of my lines was, pacifism only works when everybody's a pacifist.
Gosh, he remembers his lines. 40 years on.
40 years on.
Brilliant.
But that's the sort of thing that we got into those arguments.
Yes.
We had time.
Yes.
Was that something you looked for in scripts as actors, that you would go through and say, this has got to, this isn't just running down corridors and people being shot at, this has actually got a good,
Yes, it's
solid
got a
story at the
point.
heart of it.
Oh,
Yes,
absolutely.
that was why it was enjoyable to do it.
Yeah,
And,
that's right.
it was a long time we were doing it for, so...
Yeah.
I think
It had to
all
be.
Doctor Who's always had a strong moral message
Yeah.
underneath, it as sort of sometimes as a subtext and sometimes pretty
Apparent.
Yes.
up front.
And the Doctor, quite often, on a sort of amoral side. I mean, saying, "Come on, Susan, let's get out of this quick." You can't get out of it now. You've got to stay and help the others. I said, "What do you mean, help the others? Just go."
And his deliberate trick with the
fluid leak.
Fluid leak,
Yes,
Wicked.
absolutely.
totally immoral behaviour.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, Carole, did you see the role of Susan as being sort of halfway in the doctor's camp and halfway in the human teacher's camp? There's sort of this go-between between the
Keeping
doctor
him
and
on
them.
track too. Grandfather,
Yes.
you can't do that. You just don't behave like that.
That's right.
But then, of course, humans don't behave like that. Who knows whether the Gallifreyans behave differently? Maybe their morality was completely different. Who knows?
Could be.
No! It's a trap! Get out of here! Run!
I still don't see why they didn't shoot you at that
But
point.
I know, I never understood that.
They shot him,
they shot poor old Adam.
with all those lavatory rolls falling over there.
Perhaps you were immune,
That
having
was
been
shot.
shot
That
at.
That's a shot.
That was filmed ahead of time and then cut in as a split match shot.
Now that was good.
And that idea of turning everything negative whenever the Daleks fired, was that your idea, Chris? Because it's something,
I
they've
have
kept
a feeling it was.
right up to
Yeah.
the end.
Yes,
They've always done
I
it.
think it was.
Was that just a case of saying,
Well,
what can we do?
What can we do in those
What can we do
days?
in
You know,
those days,
nowadays
yeah.
you can do, well, the recent series of Doctor Who has revealed there are all sorts of other ways
Now
of
they
doing
turn into
things.
skeletons, don't you? can
But
see
they
their
still use
skeletons.
that same basic
Yes.
idea of you start with that negative image.
Yes.
It's a
That's
very
right.
iconic thing that you've created here.
Even know him. We can't stand here discussing it. Get yourself and your men away from here. Come on.
Oh, out in the forest and lots more fowls.
Yeah.
It's a marvellous set, that forest. It looks totally alien. It doesn't look like
Yes.
a forest or anything you'd see. Sort of-
Yes. Raymond did a marvellous
Very
job on it,
ghost-like.
and it was
Yeah.
all, and the way he'd managed to starch everything so
Petrified,
that it
yeah.
was really petrified.
Yeah.
It was terrific.
Oh, nonsense, young lady. Your survival is all here. What is this?
This is a lovely example of the Doctor
Yeah.
being that sort of very teacher sort of person as well. One minute is, he can be quite grumpy and assertive, but then when he's in a situation like this, that whole scientist comes out and
He's got the academic
Yeah.
mind,
Yeah.
Yeah.
curious about the world around him, well, the universe around him, yes.
but also seems to fit Sidney Newman's original idea of the series being very educational.
That's
Yes.
right.
It wasn't just action and adventure. He wanted to use the series to educate the kids that would be watching.
It's interesting, though, with Bill's performance here, because he did behave differently with young people than he did with older people, I seem to remember. I mean, here with this young girl again. I mean, obviously she's a very pretty young girl, so he would behave differently, but yes, his performance was very flexible in that way.
Explain to me, what do you mean, what were the differences? In what way did he treat older actors and younger actors differently?
Well, I mean, if you see the way he was with that young girl, when he was, as you
Virginia
say,
Weatherall.
teaching her, he was more accessible. He was gentler and more patient in his whole attitude. His whole body shape
Yes.
was different.
Yes, his body language too. I wanted to ask you, Carole, how you feel about having been the very first girl in Doctor Who, and you, Bill, about being the first partner also.
Honoured, very honoured. And of course,
Yes.
you, being one who knows, says the first girl, or perhaps even in some cases first granddaughter. I do get very offended if people call me the first assistant or companion. I correct them, but I get terribly offended.
I was
What's
not
a
an
companion? I was his
assistant.
granddaughter.
Yeah, that's right.
If only I knew why the Daleks hated us. If I knew that, I could alter our approach to them, perhaps.
Again, we've got this fantastic speech here that
Yeah.
Alden working everything through and then you coming in and proving it all to him, how it works.
Yeah.
And
Is this
looking
this
back,
is
I
the
can't
fight sequence, isn't it?
understand Philip Bond's role in this at all.
Well, he's the moral centre of the Thals. John Lee's being very sort of austere and trying to lead, and Philip Bond again is a bit like Susan in the TARDIS crew. He's the one that's got a foot in both camps. He can see Ian's point of view, and he
Yes,
can
I
also see
suppose
the
so.
traditional
But
Thal point of
he's,
view.
He's really detached. I mean, there was a scene earlier where he's lying back, sort of listening to the conversation, totally out of it.
He's also obviously there as a bit of love interest for Barbara and to make Ian feel jealous.
Yes. He'd worked for me before, and I thought he was another handsome blonde.
Yeah.
We would go away back to our plateau where we came from.
You'd simply run away.
This is fantastic, where you show them
Yeah.
by example.
Alidon, you can't go on running away. There are some things worth preserving.
We're not afraid to die. Themis has proved that.
I am not talking about dying.
It's interesting, Bill, I think that although William Hartnell is playing the title character, at this stage in the series, it's very much Ian is actually the heroic male
Yes.
lead. You are the one
Yes.
that everything focuses
He's the
around,
driving force.
particularly in this story.
Absolutely.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
Did you say you'd leave if they didn't write up your part?
No, that's what you said.
Didn't make any difference though, did it?
Considering the size
Right.
of the set that Ray created here, this is all very beautifully shot. Again, even though it's in a forest, you've made it look lovely and claustrophobic, as if to sort of echo the
Well,
Dalek
it had
city.
to. I mean, Studio
Yes.
D, I don't know if you ever went there while it was still existent, but it wasn't very big, and we had the whole of this forest in there and all those corridors and the TARDIS, all in the one Studio D at Ealing.
And you do give the impression that the forest goes on forever, for miles and miles.
But in the case of the Thals, mutation came round in full circle, then refined itself into what you see.
You mean this became...
Yes, yes. It took hundreds of years, of course. In the second example, our recent hosts, the mutation has not completed its...
Again, a lovely bit of education this for the
Yes.
kids,
Yeah.
isn't it? Showing how
Gave
the
them a lot
life
to think
cycle.
about.
Yes.
Yes.
But that was the great thing about Doctor Who at this point. It was terribly intelligent. It
Yes.
wanted the audience. They didn't just want them to sit back and go, "Oh,
It
this is
wanted
But to
pretty."
discuss,
It wanted something
yes.
that's we've
Something
forgotten about
controversial.
is audience participation,
Yes.
the mind working on what they're watching instead of just sitting back as couch potatoes taking it all in. I mean, most of the kids were behind the sofa most of the time. I remember my own children being behind the sofa.
My daughter was.
And the Daleks are not, which is more important, my child.
Again,
Bit of
not
crystal
something
clear.
you'd see very often on programs meant for kids. It's a
Ceremonial,
cortege with a dead
yes,
body.
Exactly.
It's a very adult serial. This all the way through the 7 episodes. It never lets up. It never patronises its
No,
audience,
no.
does it?
No, it doesn't. It's very well written.
Did either of you two get a chance to meet Terry Nation? Did you?
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
Oh,
we
at
met
his house,
Terry.
didn't
Oh,
we?
yes,
Parties.
certainly. He had a
Yes,
wonderful
indeed.
philosophy, Terry. He said he always believed in living well, big house,
right. Good
large
for him.
family,
Yeah.
you know, big car and everything.
Not
I said,
taking
"Well,
it with you."
What about the work and everything like that? He said, well, see, I get myself into a position where I cannot possibly go on and draw another £1 from the bank because the overdraft won't
Then I
stand
work
it.
again.
So then I write a story.
Yeah.
But that's
Oh,
the
lovely
trigger.
guy.
He
That's
only
the
needs to
trigger.
write one
Fantastic
story
point
like
of view.
that.
Yeah.
So there we have it. Doctor Who and the Daleks, leaving you in even more peril. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you very much too.